So suddenly the same kind of nihilism you're seeing in our foreign policy, we don't care what happens, you're seeing applied to our domestic policy and even to questions of science. So the people in charge are telling you that biological sex isn't real, and if you disagree, you're a racist. Now, for a lot of lifelong Democrats, this is bewildering. They didn't sign up for this. Colin Wright's been a Democrat all his life, didn't sign up for this. So a year ago, he came up with a cartoon to illustrate what he thought was going on. He hasn't changed, but the people who represent him in the Democratic Party have become very unreasonable. Elon Musk agrees. He just shared this cartoon on Twitter. In a Wall Street Journal op-ed, Colin Wright explained that he made the cartoon to kind of sort out how he feels as a lifelong Democrat. Colin Wright is an evolutionary biologist, and we're happy to have him join us tonight. Colin, thanks so much for coming on. So you can describe this better than I can paraphrase. Why did you draw this cartoon? What does it mean?
Yeah, so I drew this cartoon in bed one night in my pajamas because I had this increasing feeling of alienation from, the political left on a lot of core values that I felt were, central to who I was as a voter. So on issues such as free speech, for instance, that I think the left had held as being sacrosanct for much of its history. It's been these values of free speech were generally held to be like these core values in order to uphold free speech, to speak truth to power, and it's being increasingly viewed as sort of
well, it's unacceptable. I mean, people are being called racist for wanting free speech. I mean, you keep hearing that. Is that when you signed up as a liberal or a Democrat, or you thought the Democratic Party represented you, even 5 years ago, would it have been plausible that somebody in MSNBC would say you're racist if you want free speech?
Well, no. See, it's being increasingly viewed as hostile to the government. It's being hostile to these ideas that we have of free speech, and on issues such as like racism, for instance, where the previous values that we had of judging people by the content of their character, for instance, rather than by the color of their skin, this has been replaced by these sort of identity politics and equity initiatives that are really valuing group identity over individual rights. And then on the issues of women's rights, for instance, we see, and I don't think the right has been always the best or most consistent on these issues, but at least the right knows what a woman is, as an adult human female. And I say this as a biologist, so I say that with certainty. The left, on the other hand, they can't even tell you what a woman is, so they can't even really pretend to understand or to protect women's rights. So this is the kind of my growing feeling of being disaffected from the left on these many issues. And I think a lot of Americans and people abroad feel the same way.
I think they do. And people abroad, too. I agree with that. It's not just in this country. The world takes its cues from us. The West does, and they're shocked by it. Colin Wright, thank you for that. If you like that conversation, we had a long conversation with Colin Wright for an episode of Tucker Carlson Today. You can check it out on Fox Nation.